Hey there, everyone. Ervin here, and today we're going to be going over the health, armor, and durable values of every enemy in Helldivers 2, as well as how it all works. The curtain has been drawn back and the numbers revealed where there were none. This breakthrough in our knowledge of the enemy has led to some great findings, such as what durable damage is and how it interacts with each enemy individually, something completely unmentioned and undocumented outside of being loosely mentioned in the patch notes. So, we're going to start off by discussing durable damage, what it means, how it's calculated against the parts of enemies it applies to, and then we're going to go over what explosive damage is, how that applies to enemies. Spoilers, you will be annoyed by how this works. And after we have the groundwork laid out, I'll be going over how enemies in the game interact with damage, breaking down how their health pools function and how they interact, as well as how their armor and durability percentages interact with our damage. Sound good? Awesome. Sound confusing? Well, yeah. Before we get started in earnest, a huge thank you to my coffee supporters who support my full time content creation. Couldn't do this without you guys. All right, so every weapon in the game has a durable damage value. This value is typically 10%, but it can be more, and support weapons and explosives break this general rule completely. If you want to see the exacts behind your weapon's durable damage, there will be a link to the source of this information in the description below. Huge thanks to Zeddy for managing a great informational site here. This durable damage is calculated into our formula on a linear scale, meaning if an enemy has, say, 70% durability on a part of its body, the Diligence Counter Sniper with its 140 ballistic damage and 14 durable damage would then deal 30% of its ballistic damage, which would be 42, and 70% of its durable damage, which is 9.8, dealing a total of 51.8 damage. Well, it would anyway. Damage fall off also exists and needs calculated for as well, but I don't want to get too far into this topic in this video, so just know that your weapon experiences some immediate fall off after the projectile leaves the barrel, reducing the damage listed by a minimum of 1 instantly due to always rounding down. This means we would then deal a maximum of 51 damage in this example. Now, what if the enemy body part is armored? Well, that's at least a bit easier. If your weapon's armor penetration meets with the armor class of the enemy's body part, in this example indicated by gray hit markers, you will deal half damage. This would mean we deal 51 damage divided by 2 for 25.5. This is then, of course, rounded down again to 25 damage to the target with 70% durability and medium armor using the Diligence Counter Sniper. Furthermore, it is worth mentioning that weapons such as the Jar 5, which shoots microjets, as well as lasers, which shoot lasers, do not experience damage fall off, including the Quasar Cannon. So keep that in mind as well. This rounding, however, is something you're going to feel particularly with shotguns. If you've ever wondered why the Punisher feels remarkably weaker when firing into light armor, that's because not only is each pellet being rounded down due to the fall off right away, but it's then again per pellet being rounded down after being halved by the armor, leading to a large sum of flat damage lost at a minimum. I could do these examples all day, but the important thing is when I go over how enemy health pools work and interact later on, you'll now know how to calculate your weapon's true damage against that body part. Maybe that won't change how you approach the majority of enemies, but I imagine it will for some, and maybe you just want to know how it all works. I know I did. Moving on, let's talk about explosive damage and how that's calculated. Explosive damage always deals its full damage against durable parts and is often a separate damage pool running alongside a projectile. For example, the Plasma Scorcher deals 100 ballistic damage at class 2 penetration and 100 explosive damage at class 3 penetration, meaning against, say, the Devastator's chest, which has medium armor or class 3 armor, the ballistic damage is deflected while the explosive meets the armor, dealing half damage at 50, right? Nope. This is one more hoop explosives have to run through. Enemy body parts are sometimes, and by sometimes, I mean almost all of them, flagged to receive 0 explosive damage. This is most likely done to prevent explosives dealing damage to targets multiple times when it was not intended to do so. And fun fact, this is the same way they fixed our Helldivers taking explosive damage multiple times. The physical projectiles can impact and damage us anywhere, but only our body can receive the explosive damage itself, preventing multiple instances of damage that previously would one-shot us no matter what. For everything we're going to be talking about going forward, it's time to take a look at the helldivers.io enemy page that'll have a link for in the description down below. Here is where you will find all of the information collected thus far on the exact health, armor, and durability values of every enemy in the game, as well as the listings for what parts are and are not immune to explosive AoE damage. This makes calculating weapons that deal explosive damage even trickier than we ever imagined previously. Armed with this knowledge, however, it's now possible to work out the exacts behind this mechanic. So check which parts, if any, are not immune to explosive damage and aim for those to damage the main health pool multiple times. Then apply everything we talked about prior to explosive damage, like how armor class being met with equal explosive penetration will still half the explosive damage, and you'll be able to conclude the amount of damage you're doing as a result. Whew. Last but not least, let's talk about how enemy health functions. So we've talked about it briefly in my previous video. Enemies in Helldivers 2 have several, sometimes even as many as 10 separate health pools. Some of these health pools are fatal if they reach 0. Some are not. But there is also an overarching total health listed under the name of each enemy on the IO page. Every time the enemy is dealt damage to a body part, a percentage of that damage indicated by the percent to main segment of each line here is subtracted from the main value. Basically, some body parts, while they may not be fatal to lose, will still reduce this total health value, resulting in a kill all the same should it reach 0 before any fatal body part does. This most commonly occurs with Bile Titans, as while their bottom sacks are not fatal to lose, they do subtract 100% of the damage they take from its total health pool. In fact, every part of the Bile Titan functions this way as a rare example. For most enemies, this total health is not the typical cause of death, but it does exist, intertwining the separate health pools together to at least some degree, and this total health is also what takes damage from explosions, gas, and fire damage over time effects. For some enemies, this total is one and the same with their torso or body HP pool. This is the same reason why you see more success with, say, the Incendiary Breaker aiming for torsos than anything else. To be thorough, though, the armor rating of the body part goes against the armor penetration of your weapon. These are listed in numerical value on both pages. If the weapon's armor penetration is below the armor class of the enemy's body part, it will deal no damage and be deflected. If the penetration and armor value meet, the target takes half damage, as we've previously discussed, but can also glance off at bad angles, most evident with the lower plate of the Scout Strider. And finally, if the penetration of the weapon is higher than the armor, the target's body part will take the full damage, but then you, of course, as we said, have to calculate in the durable percentage listed here. While learning how all this works may not do wonders for the average Helldiver's overall experience, as it doesn't particularly change many of the strategies and methods we've come to know and love for dispatching our enemies, it does at least answer the not at all important question of why our strategies we've developed for dealing with enemies work the way they do, and pave the way for some new ones to develop thanks to our now intricate understanding of how it all works. Most importantly, I just wanted to know the nerd numbers. Hopefully you did too. I know the information can still be a bit of a trial to look through as far as the enemy page, so if this video gets 3,000 likes, I'll then know that there is adequate interest in a follow-up video covering each enemy individually, piece by piece, to go along with this one. Thank you for watching till the end, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
And now, another helpful tip from General Brash.
Erevan has done our soldiers in the field a great service by bringing more attention to the bestiary and armory details available to us, thanks to our hard-working soldiers and not R&D. For this, I am ordering all active Helldivers to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Failure to do so will result in the damage numbers being hidden on your tooltips. Brash tactics! Use them or die trying!